Really, the more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. So just sitting here because I have more muscle, you sitting here because you have more muscle, we are burning more calories at rest. Because as soon as you start cheating the system, that always is going to catch up with you. And if you're doing it to cheat the system, it will rebound. Vision, learn your food, move your body, lift some weights.
Yeah.
Main things.
Natalie, Jill, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
I love chatting with you.
Yes, this is going to be so fun. So we are good friends in real life. And so we are going to have the conversation that you and I have off the air all the time about midlife women and fat loss and just all the craziness that's going on.
When you said the conversation we have offline, if only people saw our text, there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Yes, yes. So I have been following you forever. I just have to tell you, I don't even know if you know that. I have been following you for like when I first, 10 years ago, I was like, I'm going to go online. Someday I'm going to build a big, online empire. And you were one of the first people I found.
I didn't know that.
Because I was really into strength training and I was really into this concept of like eating whole foods. Obviously, I'm a naturopath and strength training. And you were one of the few accounts making any sense around that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I've been stalking you for a long time.
I love hearing that.
So, okay. First, I think tell the audience a bit about your background because you have you sent me you did the 2016 and 2026 and you had such a fun spread of photos there.
God, well, first I'm going to say I'm just like everybody else. So I kind of got into all of this by accident. I used to say when I got into this at age 35, which I'm 54 now, I was just like everybody else. I mean, I was a mom doing her thing, and I kind of lost my way at age 35. I became a single mom, not really planning for that to happen, but found myself divorced, found myself completely upside down financially, just in a really bad situation. And I had also gained a lot of weight. And I remember for the first time in my life feeling super, super, super just depressed, anxiety, not making any sense of my life. And it was finding nutrition, working out, changing my mindset that changed my life and ultimately brought me online to help change others' lives. And what's wild is I became, in that time of just helping myself and helping other people, this very well-known fitness person. In fact, I remember getting this award for one of the top fitness influencers. And I thought it was funny because I just thought of myself as I'm just like everybody else. But in that learning, I became a trainer, I became a licensed master sports nutritionist, and I started digging, and women wanted to know what I had to share. And that grew over the years. And then ultimately now host of Midlife Conversations. So Things have changed. I'm less focused on how do you get abs and more on how do we age healthy.
Yeah. You've had me on your podcast too, so thank you.
Yes, twice.
Twice, I know. So I owe you, and I'm so excited that you're here. Like on my new set.
I love your new set.
We're all grown up.
You are completely. I'm envious of this new set and building. It's incredible.
Thank you.
I'm happy you're my neighbor now too.
Yes, we live close to each other. So, all right. So let's talk about this. You've been in this field a long time. You have watched it morph and change and what is happening right now? Because you sent me a text thread the other day and you were like, what the fuck is going on?
It's gotten crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone because I think back years ago, 70s, 80s, watching my mom on Diet Tab and the skinny culture and calories. And I remember even eating fat-free gummy bears. We went through the whole, like, if it doesn't have fat, it's healthy for us, right?
Yeah.
We went through this whole skinny, weird culture thing, 70s, 80s, 90s even, early 2000s. And I just kind of thought we were beyond that. I thought we had really gotten into more common sense and realizing that we need muscle, that we need to be strong. Even body positivity was making a big headway. And I was all for it if you're healthy doing it. And I still have really loved helping women with fat loss and being healthy, though. And I always said fat loss versus weight loss because it's not about being skinny. It's being healthy. But the trends lately have really, really concerned me. And the two big ones that come up, and I'm not anti either thing, I just want to be really clear, is one, the abuse of GLPs. And I know we've talked a lot about this. It's literally making eating disorders popular again.
Yep.
It's wild. And then add AI into the mix. And women are back in comparison zone like I've never experienced. And common sense has gone out the window. And it is very concerning. In fact, I canceled my entire January launch because I was like, I don't even want part of this. Because women are literally starving. And again, not against GLPs. I think we could talk about that. I definitely think they have their place, as you know. But I'm watching this scary trend of Gen X, especially, going back to where we were 30 years ago and making funny videos about not eating and super skinny, not just normalizing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I told you, I feel partially responsible for this because I came out with this microdosing concept and it was unrelated to weight loss. And while it does offer some potential for sort of the fluff loss in the middle-aged woman who's already metabolically optimized, it's not a weight loss strategy, but it's been hijacked and it's been twisted and there's MLM companies and like every person on the internet, every influencer is hawking injectables, and they're utilizing the term microdosing as a onboarding weight loss strategy.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, I'm microdosing for inflammation while they get rail thin.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, dude, your hips are going to break when you, in a few, like this is not the time. Being in your 50s is not the time to become further malnourished and completely lose all your muscle mass while you're at it. Like it's abysmal. What's coming, I think, is a nightmare.
For obesity, I love it. Like I will say that because I've really worked with women 100 pounds plus. I've worked with all different sizes over the years. And for some of those women, this is life-changing, like really life-changing. And, I've watched people that are close to me even that they knew how to eat healthy. They knew how to they did all the things, but this makes a difference at the right monitored dose, right? And then I've also seen firsthand what your type of microdosing can do for people. Heck, you got me to try it initially. And I went through a season of that and thought it was amazing, like for labs and for what it does for A1C, but not to the point of not eating,
right?
Or to not like. This is wild to me what I'm watching, and it's very scary. And the talk of just everything's like a research peptide now. Not even not like people don't even know where they're getting their source from.
They have no idea. That's a whole other conversation. And they have people are listening to influencers on the internet with absolutely zero health credentials and injecting
it's scary
powders into themselves.
It's super scary.
And I'm like, and then on top of it, yes, it is miraculous and life-changing for obesity. That was never the conversation I was trying to have, and it was always the one I got pulled into.
Yeah.
But I still do speak to people, my following, clients who've used it and lost appreciable amounts of weight. But when they don't do it right and they don't employ the common sense that you are so known for, they end up in the pickle I have warned about, which is severe malnourishment, symptomology that nobody can figure out. And I'm like, duh, you're B12 deficient now, you're B vitamin deficient. And I can't even imagine what's happening to people's bones, and I've warned of this, like coming in metabolically compromised, cranking a GLP-1, dropping a tremendous amount of weight while not having any safeguards or boundaries in place, and then coming out the other side with very little muscle mass, rail thin. That's a disaster for your metabolism.
Tina, I was scrolling TikTok the other day, and I should have known better to scroll TikTok, but there's a trend video going around where it's a frying pan. I don't know if you've seen this. It's a syringe on the frying pan, a vial, like a bottle, and like a Monster or an energy drink soda. And it's funny that he's like stir frying the pan, or she's stir frying the pan, and it says like when you're on GLPs and someone asks you what's for dinner, and it's like these videos are going viral, like normalizing that. Let's just not eat and take something and drink an energy drink. Like, what? And then the super, super skinny, all of a sudden that body positivity thing is gone. It's like, I don't even see anyone talking about that anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I've seen so many different things here and there that have disturbed me so highly. And even some of the big actresses that have lost tremendous amounts of weight and they're so rail thin. And it's because, we were teenagers during that sort of heroin chic early 90s, right?
Yeah.
And I was a victim of that. Like I really had severe eating disorders, and this allows you to crank up the dose into eating disorder land very easily. And there's a weird sort of power that comes over you, especially I think when people, I will say, when people have gut issues and they stop eating, that limited fast can be so healing and helpful for the gut. But when you're a teenager, you confuse it for, like, you don't realize it has to be finite. You just keep it up because you're like, I feel so much better when I don't eat. you know?
Right.
And then when your life feels out of control, it's one of the things you can control. All of a sudden you realize you can. And now they have it in a syringe. And they've lost the common sense that and they don't even want it. I guess that's why I wanted to bring you on today. These middle-aged women are like, well, I have my GLP-1. I'm like, your microdose it's not even a microdose. They're taking the standard dose. They're taking the same dose as somebody who is pathologically diabetic or in obesity to such a degree that they need a standard dose. And they don't have any other, they tell me, oh, my life has changed by your work. I've lost 45 pounds. Now I'm going to start strength training. And I'm like,
whoa.
Oh no.
Yeah. Because the way you teach it shouldn't even affect your appetite. Like you should be eating. You should be like, your labs might change. You might notice some, but that's where as soon as someone says they're not eating or they can't, I know right there, red flag.
That's not a microdose.
That's not a microdose.
Yeah.
If you're not eating and you have no appetite. And what's scary to me is I don't think women they hear it. I don't think they fully understand what happens when you starve yourself.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So take away GLPs for a minute. When I would work with women on fat loss, there's and this is a general statement, but about 2 pounds of fat loss per week for people that actually need to release weight. 2 pounds of fat loss per week is safe, sustainable, doable. And when you do it that way, your body is catching up with you, and we're doing it a healthy way. And your body, if you're eating a healthy amount of calories, the right balance of foods, you're not going to go past that, really. Now, if you have obviously a significant amount to lose and you were eating very unhealthy before, you might lose more initially. But 2 pounds of fat loss per week on average is about normal. And if you just look at numbers, it takes 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound of fat. 3,500 calories. So to lose 2 pounds, you're talking a deficit of 7,000 calories. So when someone says they lose 10 pounds in a week or 15, just think about that. What's happening?
Oh, it's terrible.
So you're not only doing that super fast and you're going to have skin hanging on you. That's a big thing. You're going to lose hair. You're going to have organ issues. You're going to absolutely lose bone. And this is not stuff you can reverse, by the way. You don't lose bone and grow it back. It doesn't work that way. So you're creating starvation in your body. Your body starts doing everything it can to protect its brain, to protect your organs, protect everything. Meanwhile, it's just like being anorexic. It's what happens there. So you are doing.
Well, it is anorexia.
You're doing irreversible damage to your body when you do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the right term for it.
Yeah.
And it's orthorexia when we become so hyper consumed over what we're eating, and I mean, they're all disordered eating, and it's in that category. I think yes, we can build back our bone and we can normalize our hormones after all of this, but I think that the damage that is done can be so severe in midlife. I guess that's
what in midlife. I should say that distinction.
This is because if a 25-year-old does that, she's probably going to bounce back.
But 55-year-old woman building back their bone, I don't know about
their hair back.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard enough to build muscle in midlife. It can be done, but it's a lot harder.
Like even just keeping. You're so active. I'm not nearly as active as you, but even just keeping good bone density is like a chore.
I did my DEXA scan every year, and I will continue to make sure, but I think about that. Like I need to lift heavier. I need to I want to jump. I want to do things to make sure I'm preserving, but the last thing is going to be starving myself. No.
Yeah.
Because you're going to not only lose muscle and then bone, you're just creating a whole host of, not only that, you're messing up your metabolism. And I want, so what happens when you stop the GLP or you stop this? Now you're going to have a metabolism that's not working properly. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn at rest. So just sitting here because I have more muscle, you sitting here because you have more muscle, we are burning more calories at rest. You start losing muscle, we are affecting our metabolism too.
Yeah. And in many cases, I think, I don't know how to put this any more clearly, the folks who really do need it for appreciable weight loss have such metabolically compromised systems already. And then they go through an extreme weight loss period, they potentially lose a tremendous amount of muscle. They become malnourished. It's the malnourishment that is so devastating that people don't even realize. And people are walking around with symptomology. I hear it all the time from my followers. Like, I have this weird symptom and I know exactly what B vitamin or mineral they're deficient in. And I can't tell them because I can't give them medical advice. But I'm like, oh God, they're just depleting however you go into a GLP-1 journey, whether it's a microdose or a standard dose, is how you come out the other side. You get so if you come in with I think what it does is it shines a mirror on what's already the problem.
Okay.
So if you've got thyroid deficiency, or if you've got estrogen deficiency or testosterone deficiency or whatever it is, adrenal deficiency, malnourishment, and then you go through a GLP-1 experience, even at a microdose, I think it can magnify what you're already dealing with. So that's a problem. And then some of these folks come out the other side with such extreme weight loss so fast that they now have a brittle metabolism. Not only is it compromised and busted, but it is now brittle, meaning getting that back online, it's hard enough for me as a physician to get a 50-some-year-old woman's metabolism back online. But after going through that, and I've been warning about this the whole time, like this is going to be...
Plus, something you had shared with me is that you can't stay at those doses. Those doses stop being effective. So like, even if they think they're microdosing or whatever amount is, you're going to have to keep adding more. That's what you shared with me, right? So it's not even like, so you might think you're microdosing now or whatever, but eventually you're going to be at that other dose. So it's going to not work.
Yes.
So where's the end to it?
You get tolerance to these medications very quickly. Very quickly. So whatever dose you're at, I know folks who are, well, let's put it this way. I know compounding pharmacists who are telling me that patients are calling and begging for a dose that's higher than what's FDA approved.
Wow.
Because it's not working anymore.
Wow. Okay. So that's what's scary. So,
and they're gaining all the weight back while it's happening in real time. So it basically has become ineffective.
So that being said, what I would tell anybody, again, not against them, if that's what they're doing and they're working with a doctor and this is what they want to do, but think about those side effects and what is the actual dose you can do to be supportive versus almost like trying to cheat the system. That's what I'm going to call it. Because as soon as you start cheating the system, that always is going to catch up with you. And if you're doing it to cheat the system, it will rebound. If you're doing it in support of the other things, that's a very different story, but you have to learn those other things. And those have to be non-negotiable, like eating whole, natural, unprocessed, real foods, like eating adequate protein, like eating phytonutrients. That's another important one. Now we're not eating fruits and vegetables. Now people are doing this and eating literally nothing. And then also strength training. And if you don't have the calories or the food in you to strength train, you absolutely cannot build muscle. You can't build muscle not eating.
Yeah. Yeah, you actually start to disintegrate your joints, which I've done. Your body will pull from somewhere. So I did the whole don't eat and strength train. And, after a bad divorce, during a very high stress period in my early 40s. And I ended up with bilateral severe hip issues because you'll start to, your body will start pulling collagen from your cartilage.
Well, I don't know about
bones.
Everyone listening, but I've gone through the injury journey. I mean, I have had more injuries than my fair share not recently, thank God, knock on some wood here.
I know.
But, or some wood.
Come up.
Yeah. But, bicep tear, ruptured disc. I've had all types of things. I was a very active person before, and I've declared I'm not going to be injured anymore. But knowing what I went through to rehab those, I don't want to make this easier for my body to break down. So I want women to really understand and be aware of what they're walking into. And if the focus is not strength training and adding and preserving muscle right now, you are making a grave decision that's going to really, really hurt you. It's not a good decision. I understand wanting fat loss, and I can help women get there. There's many ways to do it, with or without the GLP. And you have to make strength training a priority. And you can't do that without eating enough.
Yes. I heard a doctor today, I should have sent you the reel. It was an MD who is a plastic surgeon, and he was talking about how when you have a lifetime of Botox, you have induced sarcopenia into your facial muscles because you quit. You literally, it's the neuromuscular connection. This is why I love heavier lifting versus lighter, is because, and not all the time, obviously, but in a program, because it's the neuromuscular connection that matters. Wow. And when you put a bigger load on the body, you get a more impactful central nervous system hit. And so it's not so much with sarcopenia, which is the wasting of muscle as we age or with illness. It's not so much that you are losing muscle. It is that you are losing a neuromuscular connection. So you're greasing the groove by going to the gym regularly. It's kind of irrelevant what you're doing in there so long as you continue to grease the groove.
Interesting.
So your body's reaction time is better. If you were to trip off a curb, you're going to catch yourself and land much better than someone who's not fit. So for me, strength training and training period is all about greasing the groove and that neuromuscular connection, and we don't want to lose it. So as we age, we get fatty infiltrate. And the more metabolically compromised we become, the more fatty infiltrate we get into our muscles. So our muscles marble, like prime rib, and you lose more neuromuscular connections because you're literally losing where the nerves, and then the nerves themselves start to atrophy. Well, guess what Botox is? You are intentionally atrophying the nerves and breaking the neuromuscular junction. You're breaking it down on purpose to lose
makes sense.
the contractility of the muscle. But what happens with that is you get severe atrophy and severe sarcopenia.
Wow.
And then he was saying on top of that, now that we've added GLP-1s on board, GLP-1s are inducing sarcopenia. So that Ozempic face, it's not just from extreme fat loss or fast fat loss and losing all your fat pads, which you never get back, by the way. It is from inducing sarcopenia in the muscles of your face.
Wow.
So strength training keeps your musculature strong, including your face. Like if you were to quit training, your face would just start to sag. And whenever I quit training from injury, my face starts to sag. And so anyway, he just made a really good point that not only, it's like insult to injury. The people using GLP-1s for vanity weight loss are usually ones who've been using Botox for decades already. They've already induced severe muscular. So he was talking about how it ages you faster.
Makes sense.
And then you add on top this GLP-1 that's literally inducing sarcopenia at higher doses. And
it's a lot there. You know, I think about how hard I had a ruptured disc in my L5S1, and I had a disc replacement, as you know, back in December this last year. So it was probably one of the most grueling recoveries I've ever gone through. But leading up to that, I had so much pain I could not do heavy lifting. So I've been on this mission to like add muscle to my legs and to my butt, and this is mission. And I'm 54. And I'm someone who's very knowledgeable when it comes to muscle. I do eat adequate protein. I am eating and I'm having a hard time building muscle. So I think about that. And then I think of someone who's doing not any of those things and they're not concerned yet.
And they're cranking a GLP-1.
Yes, it's scary.
And they might very well not be doing any kind of hormone replacement therapy. And I have it on very good word, and we're starting to see these in the studies, that when you go into a GLP-1 journey at a regular dose and you are obese and you're severely metabolically compromised, it will improve your hormonal profile. If you go into it not in that shape, it depletes your hormones.
Yeah.
It really, I'm seeing this across the board. I've seen it in multiple patients and clients where even a microdose, they go on and all of a sudden their labs come back and their estrogen's lower, their testosterone's lower, their progesterone's lower. It is depleting hormones. I don't know the mechanism yet, but we're kind of seeing glimmers of it in the data. And I'm hearing this from other clinicians. That's why I say I have it on good word that this, I'm not just making this up. Like a lot of my clinician friends have texted me and said, have you seen people's estrogen dump out on GLP-1s?
Wow.
And I'm like, kind of. Are you seeing it too?
Wow.
So they're depleting. Well, it starts, I mean, not to get nerdy, but there is a mechanism that we have seen specifically in the data where it decreases kisspeptin, and that's a sort of a signaling molecule for your body to make hormones. So anyway, and that's in an underfed body. So the study took mice and they gave them GLP-1s, and then they were well fed or they were underfed. And in the underfed mice, their hormones dumped out, because their kisspeptin dumped out. So it's all about nutrients, and the nutrients is part of the signal. The strength training is part of the signal. The GLP-1's part of the signal. The other peptides, they need the spark, and that spark is the nutrients you're putting in your body. So it's not to go off on a tangent, but it's real, and it's, I think, going to be disastrous for people.
So for women that I do work with, when they're committed to, they want their GLPs or whatever, that I have no issue with that, as long as so I guess for listeners, I would say if that's your mission to be healthy, strong, and you are doing a GLP, you've got to be making sure that you are at a dose where you are still eating, where you have not lost your appetite. That's really, really important. And that you're still learning and doing the work around food and around your mindset and your belief set and the weight training. All of that has to be part of it. It's not going back 30 years and just saying, I'm just going to not eat. Otherwise it's very detrimental. And I will say that, there's sort of this step one, I always say, with fat loss and getting healthy. And it's so basic, but most people aren't doing it. And it's this part of being very clear of the vision you want for yourself. And this might sound a little woo-woo right now, but I'm going to share it because it's important. Usually when you ask someone why they want to lose weight or why they want to get healthy, they'll give you some kind of like, well, I just want to be a size this, or I want to be, it's a very subjective thing of like, I want to be this weight, or I want to look skinny, or I want to feel skinny. It's not this anything around a health or way of living. And what I encourage women and men listening to do is get really clear on the vision you want for yourself. So what does that mean 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Like, are you wanting to get healthy so you can have longevity, so you could be mobile, so you could be out of pain, so you could play with your grandkids? Like, think through that vision and make your choices from there. Because if you are stuck on, I just want to be skinny, or I just want to be this number, and you're not thinking through that, you will get to that by cheating the system, but you will also create a lot of other problems in your life. So when I say don't cheat the system, think of that first. Like, what do I want for myself? And if a GLP is part of that, that's amazing. Awesome. But get clear on what that means and what that looks like. And there's no workaround to longevity if you're not, there's no workaround of, you have to do the work. You have to eat that way. You have to lift the weight. You have to do that.
Yeah, it's non-negotiable.
No,
there's no
you
version.
Can't.
Or you break a hip.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Or you break a hip, or you end up in frailty. And as we saw with COVID, it was frailty. That was really, it was the two ends of the extreme, which was what was causing everybody to go. They were either frail, and that was actually more deadly than being obese. And so neither are where we want to land. We want to land somewhere in the middle. And I always ask people, like, what's your fighting weight?
Yeah, that's good.
They say, well, I want to be this weight. I'm like, but is that your fighting weight? Like, yeah, you looked great. Like the best I've ever looked in photos in a bikini, I had pneumonia all the time, and I was chronically sick. So it's like, what's your fighting weight?
No.
You know, my fighting weight is about 15, 20 pounds heavier than where I look the best in a bikini. And for me, I'm okay with that. Like, that's where my immune system works adequately. My hormones work. I always ask women, like, is your vagina lubricating? Yeah. Really? Like, do you have a libido? Are you sleeping? Because you can starve yourself right into insomnia. You know,
And I want to make a comment about this inflammation that everyone says they have too. Okay, all of a sudden everyone has inflammation. Like, and I'll tell you, when I removed my implants, I had ruptured breast implants that I had for years, and I didn't know they were ruptured. That was true inflammation. Like, there's a night and day, 20 pounds of fluff that came off of me just from removing them. That was an inflammation. That was not adding that was not doing anything other than removing my implants.
Yeah.
Real inflammation from mold or for whatever, there's things that we did before that. But I'm kind of confused by all of a sudden everyone has inflammation.
Well, we become more inflamed as we age, so it's called inflammaging, and it's real. Like, we become more metabolically compromised and we become more inflamed. And a lot of us autoimmune girls are like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. But what blows me away is when someone says they're microdosing for inflammation and they have breast implants still.
Yeah, like, why not?
And I'm like... I'm not judging. I swear I'm not judging, but it's like, we have to take out the most obvious culprits. Or if you're living in a house with mold, we got to get you out of there.
Like I was saying, I moved out of the mold. I removed the implants. I removed my amalgam fillings. I went down the pipeline. Like, you go down the things first. And then you suggested, like, let's add a tiny amount at that time. I listened to you there. But it was like this order of operations on things. Clean up your gut. Like, there was a whole order of things.
And the interesting part about clean up your gut, I want to share on this, because you're always talking about whole foods. You're talking about eating real foods. You're talking about eating enough real foods. You've been talking about getting rid of seed oils for a long time, and you've written books on it. Mm-hmm. The thing is like, if your gut's a wreck, your liver's going to be a wreck. Your hormones are going to be a wreck. GLP-1s can only do so much. It's like trying to use a fire extinguisher on a fire that you keep pouring, lighter fluid on.
Yeah.
And I'm over here trying to put out the fire with a microdose for the patient, and the patient continues to pour the lighter fluid. Or you're drinking too much wine, I'm not judging. I do it too. But if your gut's a wreck, here's the irony. I think we've talked about this. If you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, we have seen in the studies that people on standard doses of GLP-1s, almost 50% of them end up with SIBO if they didn't start with it. And I would say that most people I've tested have some version of SIBO.
Is that because of slowing down the gut? Okay.
So what happens is the large intestinal bacteria end up in the small intestine, and you end up with this bacterial overgrowth, and it's misery. This is why the burping and the bloating, and I've seen it with it happened to me I went into it with chronic SIBO. I mean, it was controlled, and I had it under, you never really get rid of SIBO completely. I don't care who says what, you can't eradicate it completely. And I ignited it with just a microdose and
Oh, wow.
chronic stress. Like
So it made it go up. Yeah.
Yeah. And chronic stress is the worst. As my friend Kieran Krishnan always says, like, if you're chronically stressed, every time you have a super stressful episode, it's like taking a round of antibiotics for your gut. So add all that together, and even a microdose can induce SIBO. But here's the irony about SIBO. SIBO induces type 2 diabetes and metabolic dysfunction.
Wow.
So they're taking a medication at a high enough dose that 50% of people are ending up with SIBO, and then not realizing the SIBO, and doctors don't know how to deal with SIBO. Most doctors don't. Like functional medicine doctors who are trained in it do. But SIBO is what leads to like all the bad things that are happening to middle-aged people, right? Like that's why I was just, I was trying to beat the drum on low doses. I was like, we have to figure out, this is why we have to do all the things, which I want you to get into. Because like, if you don't do all, people are forgetting all the things. If you don't do all the things, you can't stay at a microdose or a low dose. And if you can't stay at a low dose or a microdose, I am very concerned. I'm not trying to scare people, but I've always been very concerned. And my message got lost in translation. And I have never been for standard dosing unless people really have a significant amount of weight to lose. But even then, we keep them on the low end. And we really emphasize the lifestyle. We use it as a tool. It's not a hammer. No. It's not a chainsaw, right? So what are the things that people, regardless of GLP-1 or no GLP-1, what is the middle-aged woman?
Yes. Okay. So number one, we have to decide and be clear what we want for the future of ourselves. So I don't let anyone skip that step because people want to go, just what do I eat? What do I do? And anytime I work with a client, it's what I got to get really clear on their vision so I can coach them from that place anyway. But if people don't know what their long game is, it's really hard to help implement a plan. So and ask anyone listening, what is your long plan? Like, how do you want to age? Like, think that through. Like, what is that vision for yourself? Is it just being skinny, or is it? What is your long game? And think about why. And the second thing is then we look at nutrition. And with nutrition, my biggest rule is unprocessed natural real foods. And I don't mean 100% of the time. I've been out to dinner with Dr. Tina here. She's seen me eat fried calamari, I'm sure, at some point, like whatever. I'm not saying it's perfection, but 95% of the time, I am eating pretty darn close to perfection. I eat unprocessed natural real foods. I lead with protein. So I'm a huge fan of protein first, whether that's red meat or fish or whatever you're choosing there. But I'm a huge fan of healthy fats. Like I love olive oil. I love avocado. I like nuts and seeds. I want those healthy fats and nuts. And I'm a ginormous fan of phytonutrients. So fruits and vegetables. And in fact, my second book was Aging in Reverse. And this is before its time. And I was writing all about phytonutrients. And it's just wild to me to watch some of the diet trends just really villainizing vegetables and fruits. Like I understand for a temporary time. Like you're cleaning up, you're eliminating. But we need those think about phytonutrients, antioxidant. We need fruits and vegetables to help combat the poor things that happen with aging. So we need that. They fight disease. And fiber, absolutely fiber. Yeah. If you are not pooping every day, we've got a problem right there. So people are talking about being inflamed and they haven't gone to the bathroom in a week.
Yes. You would be shocked how many women are not pooping every day.
I'm not shocked. I hear it.
Yeah, you hear it.
It's wild.
It's crazy. And they want a GLP-1. And I'm like, you don't get a GLP-1 until
you should be going every day. 2 or 3 times a day, ideally. If you're really, I mean, so I'm always thinking phytonutrients. I'm thinking fiber. I'm thinking protein. I'm a huge fan of fat, but the right fats. I'm not a fan of some of the cooking and seed oil. That's a whole other topic there we can get into. But so when I talk about eating, I'm looking, when someone says I'm eating clean, eating clean is a very subjective term. What I want to know is, are you eating unprocessed natural foods that actually help heal you, that help give you life? Like I think of food as life-giving. Like I'm looking for different colors. I'm looking for different nutrients. I want to feed my microbiome. I'm really looking for how do I really eat foods that nourish me. It's not about perfection, but how do I eat foods that nourish me? And then the third thing is movement. And people have asked me, do you have to work out to lose weight? No, you don't have to work out to lose weight. Do you have to work out for longevity and for a good life? Yes. Yes. So yes. And will walking be enough? No, we should be walking every day. Everyone should be walking every day. We're not walking enough, but it's progressive overload and it's adding muscle, maintaining muscle that's critical.
And it's the spark of life. Like I get so depressed and so puffy and so just down and I can't even describe it. I mean, everything is bad. The world is ending if I'm not moving every day.
Yeah.
And I do it. I mean, when I get in, I have been injured a lot lately. I have like a mid spine issue. That's a whole thing, but it has been bumming me out, and it has put me on my back in too many days in a row for like my good mental health,
It's awful.
And it's just, I don't know how I lived with, and I went through an extended period of time where I was not physically fit at all. I was just super skinny. So I get it. Like I was that girl that was just super skinny, and I came from a family where no one worked out, no one appreciated athleticism or anything like that. And I also struggled with chronic depression. Like it's one side, it's like two sides of the same coin, right?
Go together. I will say at this time of this recording, I'm literally pain-free, which hallelujah, because that was never how I could describe myself.
We're gonna high five that.
I know, because I ruptured that disc 8 years ago, which throughout, and every injury I had, the bicep, everything stemmed from that.
Yeah.
But I had chronic pain for really intense chronic back pain for 8 years before my disc replacement. And I will say this. There's such a thing as, we've talked about this before, the pain cycle, that I would call it the pain cycle, where if you are not moving and now you get more sad and now you're not eating the best choices and you stay in this loop.
And then you drink.
You could drink or sell anything. Some people take painkillers or Xanax or whatever.
Right.
It's a loop. But the way to get out of that loop is to move your body somehow. And I know even when I had that chronic back pain, I would make myself do these specific exercises every day to get in motion. I would walk. I would at least walk and get moving. And I would do whatever weight stuff I could do, even though I could not squat. I couldn't do things. Now that I have that back, I'm not taking that for granted, and I'm slowly working to really, really rebuild. But I will say to somebody listening in pain, do whatever you can to break that pain cycle. You have to, because it is the cure. Like you literally, if you start moving, you do get yourself out of pain.
Yeah. Well, mechanoreceptors override pain receptors in the spine. They literally cancel the other out. So I'll add, I was thinking about this morning, it gets worse before it gets better often. And I hate to put people through things that make them worse before they get better, but I will say movement can be one of them. It's very igniting of a lot of proprioceptors and pain receptors that are like, we haven't moved in a while. What are you doing to me? But it's the hump you got to get over.
So like I tore my bicep years ago, and it was connected to that's a whole other story, but I lost supination in my right hand. So as you can see, Tina, on camera, but I can't turn my hand. They cut that when they reattached it, they had to cut my tendon. And I went through, a bicep tear was like one of the most painful things I've ever experienced, getting that repaired. And it was at the distal. And I used to be chin-up queen. I would always do chin-ups. So many chin-ups with your, chin-up is your palm face towards you. Pull-up would be the other direction. And I would do so many chin-ups. And my surgeon said, you're not going to be able to do chin-ups anymore. Like, just forget that.
Forever?
Yeah, that's what he said after the surgery. And I said, what do you mean I'm not going to be able to do? Of course I'm going to be
I've seen you do chin-ups, so obviously
what I was
going to
say, well, here was the reframe. I can't do a chin up. I can do a pull up now because I couldn't turn so what I was doing is I was taking something the doctor was saying and going, oh, there goes I can't lift my body up. I can't. And I had to reframe that. Well, I might not be able to turn my hand because the tendon's not there, but I can still use those same muscles and lift up. So it's just a reframe. And I do pull ups now, which are actually harder than chin ups, by the way.
They are way harder.
Because you're not using your bicep as much. So I turned it into like a competition with myself. So whatever you're navigating, you can do that. Like you might not be able to do something the way you always did it, but what can you do differently now because of that?
Right. And I also realized that being a middle-aged woman in this climate, a lot of these women are taking care of their parents. Yeah. They're taking care of their kids still. They're working full-time jobs. They're still running the house and trying to take care of their husbands. And I realize, like when I hear people say, everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, that's not true. We don't. You and I have very blessed lives of lots of free time, but it doesn't matter in that if you want to age well and be healthy and vital for your family as you age, and you want to be a healthy, vital grandma, you have to figure out how to bring some of this into your life. It has to be prioritized, because there's no version of this where you age well and retain good cognition and retain good mobility without it.
So I'm not going to actually coddle into the excuse that somebody doesn't have time. Let me explain. First of all, I want to say I've lived it. When I shared that story earlier when I was 35, a new single mom. So I've been there baby.
Too.
Yep. I had no time, no money, no nothing. And that's why I started doing body weight and doing what I could do. And I just want to And yes, right now, today, as we're recording this, I am blessed, partially because of my conversations with you. And I was like, enough with the cortisol. I'm going to clear up my schedule. So my schedule is very light now, but it wasn't until a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I still managed to do this. Now, here's what I want to say. There's a few things that literally take no time. And so let me just say that. Number one, making a decision. So decide right now, if you think you're the busiest person in the frickin' world, you make a decision right now that you are rewriting that story, that despite being busy, despite whatever, you are figuring out, you're getting stronger, you're finding a way to eat healthier. So it starts with a decision, and then you start looking at things differently. That's number one. Number two, eating healthy. I'm going to add the onto it. Eating healthier is always an option. I'm not saying have fully prepared, organic, perfect, these incredible gourmet meals every night. That's not what I'm saying. But making better choices every day as you can, one decision at a time, is absolutely possible. You can put me in a gas station convenience store, and I will find a way to eat healthy. It might healthier. I'll say
Yeah.
It's the better choice. Like literally, you put me at McDonald's and I will find the healthier. It's not healthy, healthier. So by making those small choices with what you have in the situation you're in, I'm not kidding. I remember being in Florida. We were driving from like Tampa to the other side, and there was like nothing on the way. And I was so hungry, and we stopped at a gas station. And I remember I bought like nuts. I bought dried fruit. It was dried fruit. It was like, okay, carbs there, fat, nuts, and I bought jerky, protein. It was like not what I'd love to eat every day, but
I've lived off that at times.
Yeah, so you find a way. So you make the healthier. And then as far as the movement, you can do it. Instead of sitting, you stand. These sound like you've heard them a million times, park your car further, but are you doing it? Literally, are you parking your car further? I know I don't look like for the closest space. I'm here in your building, and I parked at the first building. I don't think like that. I don't look for the closest space. So when you can walk. So no matter what, no matter what your time situation is, you can make those choices. And if you still don't agree with me that you have even a second to do it, I want you to look at your phone and go look at the settings. And I want you to look at how much screen time you've had today.
Put the Opal app in. I got you on the Opal app.
That was so good. I'm so glad you did that.
It tells you your screen time, and it tells you like.
Can Opal sponsor us, please? Because we're huge fans.
Opal saved us.
It did save us.
Actually, Courtney Swan is who turned me on to Opal.
It is the best app.
I sent her a meme, and she said, I can't look at it. I'm locked out of my phone. And I said, did you get in trouble on Instagram? And because what was she posting that would get her in trouble? And because I'm always in trouble. And she said, no, I have an app that locks me out. And I think Dr. Mamina also uses the app. So we're all.
It's amazing. You see, I shared with my audience that I read about a book a day. And people were like, how in the world do you read a book a day? Okay, let me explain. It's on Audible. I put on a higher speed. It's not on 1.0. It's like 1.2. I always have a new book in there. And every moment, if I'm driving, showering, when you wake up in the morning, you want to grab your phone and start texting, I'm learning. So I'm committed to it. And it's things that lift me up, that keep me in the zone of possibility. But there's no reason we can't use our phones for good versus the bad. Like I do not scroll social anymore. I post and ghost. I go on, I post, as Shalene says, I post and ghost. I got that from her. I will scroll comments. I'll interact with my people, but I'll check it maybe 2 other times in the day, and I put the time limit. So it's like 15 minutes max.
Yep. And then you're out. And then you're booted.
And then I'm out.
I know. It's a thing. That's a big habit to break. Good job.
Yeah, that's from you. That's right. Tina's helped me a lot. You've helped me a lot.
Thank you.
You've helped me a lot. And that, especially when I was running through my own stuff and with histamine a while back, and you said cortisol. And that's when I started taking that seriously.
Cortisol will just fuck you up.
It will.
I mean, I've been mainlining cortisol because I don't make any, because I burned out every bit of my adrenal gland.
I was like,
so it's really it's a beast, a burden, and people don't realize the stress stress will destroy every good effort. Everything you're talking about here will be destroyed by chronic stress. Yeah. And I know, I speak from a place of experience, and that's why I moved here. Getting here, I was texting you while I was like I was in it. I was like going through all my stuff from my childhood, all of my stuff, and just trying to purge everything.
You were doing that while I was having my histamine outbreak.
And I'm like, it's cortisol. Yeah, because I know it, because I'm living it.
Well, I'm so grateful I had that happen, because that woke me up, and I busted through that histamine outbreak in 2 months because I listened and was like, okay, clearing the schedule, taking this seriously.
Yeah, it's not worth your life.
And I feel great now.
That's the thing. We don't want to add stress to any women's plates. Like being a middle-aged woman is hard enough. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. It's such a load already, but we have to have some non-negotiables because I was not in motherhood role when I had a daughter. I was a single mom and I was really stressed out and it was really awful. And I regret so many of the decisions I made along the way. I mean, I was in the biggest peaks of my career happened while I had a young child. So I wasn't around I didn't see her walk the first time, you know, I mean, just some of these heartbreaking things. And so I really intend to make up for it with grandmotherness and grandmotherhood. Yeah. And I want to be so active and mobile. I want to be the grandma that's like throwing the kid in the pool, you know, like in the pool, like where you can launch them and they fly through the air and jump.
If anyone has any grandkids, they need to be fostered right now. She's ready.
I want to be so active and mobile. I don't want to be the grandma that can't get up and down off the floor.
I'm with you.
I want to decorate the Christmas tree with them. I want to do all the things. And I want to have hot sex with my husband until I'm old. I want to have hot sex. Like I want all these things, and it requires some work to maintain that.
So when people, I have that same vision. I want those same things. And to me, aside from what people look like, I'm not even talking about, there's a whole nother topic on how people look on aging, but how we feel. There's no doubt in my mind, those three things I'm talking about, the decision and your vision, and then your actions, the nutrition and the movement, that's the formula. It's those three things.
Yeah, 100%. And getting adequate sunlight, getting outside on the regular. I just had Brian Richards on from Sauna Space, and we were talking about light, you know, and he just moved to Florida from Missouri because we were like, we both had to move to the light.
Yeah, that's another, we didn't even really talk about that. And I know you've talked many times on your podcast about that, but light, I know my husband and I think you are too, we're very committed to that. Like when the sun sets, we don't have overhead LEDs on at all. We have red light in our house or amber light. Or we'll have blue blockers on. So unless we're out somewhere, like you're out at a restaurant or you're out someplace, we're super committed to that. But light really affects your cortisol levels, really affects your sleep, and it affects everything about your health.
And your weight loss efforts.
All of it.
All of it. Cortisol will destroy your metabolism faster than anything. And we say all this, we share those memes where it's like those videos where women are like, so all you have to do to be healthy in middle age, and then they go through this laundry list, and it's like, that's so stressful for people. So what are some of the things that people can do to bring that? It's got to be a balance. It's got to feel balanced. And again, none of this is about how you look in the mirror.
Totally. I'm not talking about that at all.
Because I have gotten to a place where I'm like, you know what? If I have to carry an extra 15 pounds around, but I don't have to stress out all the time about my weight, and I finally just committed to like buying bigger clothes because I was so tired of being in this. I have to get back to the size. I have to get back, because what you said, like, what's your long game?
Yeah.
And you've asked me that before, and I'm like, I just want to be hot and happy. Like, and hot doesn't mean having a six pack for me. It just means I want people to see my vitality before they see anything else.
The reason women our age are not embracing what you're talking about fully is because of the GLP extreme epidemic, and because of AI, and because of social media. We're in this massive comparison mode, and we're comparing to things that aren't even real, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. So what I'm going to tell the woman listening, if you're hearing this and you're like, you have all the excuses, you have all the reasons, and you want to fight me right now. You're like, I want to first and tell you, I'm not going to get enrolled by that, because I know if you can change your belief set around that, anything is possible. So get out of circumstances and start getting into possibility. And you cannot get into possibility unless you first do what I said about getting clear on your vision. As annoyed as you might be about it, forget the excuses for a minute and ask yourself, if anything was possible for my life, for my future, what would that be? And don't let your brain tell you why you can't do something. Don't let your brain say, well, I can't afford it, or I don't have the time, or I don't have. If anything was possible, what would that be? So get clear on that. And then I want you to find support systems around you that keep you in that mind frame. So what does that mean? Does that mean finding new friends? It might mean that. Yes. It might mean
that's huge.
Community.
Yeah, come back to that. Keep going, but come back
so
to that.
Find new friends. And if you don't have those friends, then find the right podcasts, find the right Facebook groups, find the right audibles. Like, there's information is out there. You could surround yourself those audibles I listen to every day, I might as well be friends with them. They don't know me. I certainly know them. I'm listening to them all day. So you can create that. And then you do the better-ish thing I talked about, the more healthier. Like, where do you start making those better choices? And you focus on that. Your world is what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on comparison and the AI models and the person on, so if you're focusing on comparison and you're feeling down, that's the whole problem right there.
Right. Yeah. Let's talk about community, because that is, I'll tell you, with patients, one of the biggest things I saw that was just devastating. One is a woman would come in with her husband to get treated. And I could tell you, I would always go out and meet the spouse in the lobby. I always would go out and meet the spouse and shake their hand. And I could tell you by meeting the husband within seconds if she was going to have an easy time healing, because your loved ones and your family and your best friends will sabotage you faster than anyone, right? You know this with business. They say this with business. Like, your biggest haters are going to be the people to this day. To this day, the people telling me I can't do something or giving me shade, throwing me shade, it's always the people closest to me. They'll do the same with your health. And so I would have women who I would have to convince. I mean, they were like so autoimmune and so sick and in so much pain that I had to put them on pretty strict anti-inflammatory diets. And they would cook a separate meal for their husband, a separate meal for their kids, and then eat their special diet. And I'm like, what are you doing? We have to get our people on board the best we can, but we can't always control who's living in our house with us and who's paying the bills and whatnot, but we can control the friend group we choose to some degree. I understand people have community of churches and other things, but your friends, you are who you hang out with. You 100%, from your microbiome to your mindset, you become the 5 people you're around. And if those people are sabotaging your efforts towards good health, it's not easy.
The first thing I'm going to say, it's a Wayne Dyer quote, because I happened to be listening to one of his books this morning, but it was change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So the people you cannot literally change that are in your life, your spouse right now or your child or whatever, you have no choice but to change how you're looking at them. So if, for example, if you're focused on everything you don't like about somebody, force your brain to focus on what you like about them, because your goal is peace and focus. Your goal is to be happy and healthy, and you have to change that. But actively look at who you need to add into your life and who you need to move to what I call acquaintance box. I have lots of people I know, lots of people that maybe were a good friend at one time, but I've moved them. They're in acquaintance box. Acquaintance box means they're just not your 24/7 person anymore. They're lovely. You can see them at a party. You can text with them every now and then, but they're not your go-to every day. Who are the people you're actually surrounding yourself with? They should be people living in a higher vibration that you want to get to. So when I look at my friends, they all want to be healthy. They all want to be fit. They want to age the way that you just described a minute ago. They want to level up. They want to keep learning, keep growing. They want that. I surround myself with that. I am not spending any time with people that are the opposite of that, because that puts me in a different place.
Oh, they just like bum me out and ruin my vibe. If somebody's bumming me out and ruining my vibe, I don't want to hang out with them.
Tina and I have a group of friends that we're on a text thread with. It's kind of like our daily check-in. And what's cool about that is we can vent in there, but nobody lets anyone stay in their vent, which is perfect. So you can vent, everyone will hear you, but then everyone's going to shift you right. Like, okay, let's focus on what we can do about it. That's the kind of friends you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally.
Not your right, that sucks friends.
Well, or people who chase drama, people who chase chaos, people who chase, my husband can't stand gossip. So any kind of, and I have to catch him sometimes too, I'm like, what are you doing? And why do we care? Well, this is not our issue. This is not, and you have to catch yourself. I have taken a stance that's been really helpful to me is I actually don't want to know a lot of information about people. Like a lot of people try to come to me, and it's usually with gossip, but they disguise it as concern for someone else. Like, I'm so worried about so-and-so. Let's talk about it. I'm like, none of this is my business. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't have any opinion on it. I bless them. I hope that they're doing well. But just realizing, where are you engaging? What battles are you choosing? What, this right now, politically, things are crazy. Geopolitically, things are crazy. How much can you control? Or can you sit and pray or meditate or focus on whatever it is? But I'm learning, because I chase cortisol, but
me too.
We have to pick our battles.
So the question that I have written on my phone, and I'm not perfect at this at all. I definitely don't follow my own rule, because sometimes your ego really could jump in, right? But it's, do I want to be right or do I want to be peaceful?
Yeah. Peace. I liked what you said. You're like, your goal is peace.
Yeah. Goal is peace. So like when I do get that comment or that negative message or whatever, I'm really good at shooting back something really, really smart ass. Like,
I'm
I
like,
love it.
disengage, Natalie.
Yeah, I've shared with you sometimes. But if I can like get my higher self to talk about what I want, I'm like, do I want to be right or do I want to be peaceful? It's unfortunately sometimes it is that answer. It's not the ego. But it's true. I don't want to have to keep going back and checking and fighting with some random stranger online, you know?
Well, it makes us ugly too. All that cortisol destroys our beauty. And I don't just mean physical, visual beauty, but like that vitality I speak of. When people say they can't, like, my favorite thing is when I have no makeup on and I'm at the grocery store and the clerk says something about, like, they'll card me for a bottle of wine and I'll be like, this is real. I'm 51 or what, whatever. I'm like, this is real. And they'll say, no, I just have to do it. But they always are shocked and they're never they're like, you're 51. And it's not that I'm like, oh, I look so young or anything. It's just, I think it's a vitality.
It's an energy.
It's a youthful vitality that I try to, and I lose that immediately when I'm in chronic pain, when I'm eating poorly, when I'm not moving, especially when I'm not sleeping. And if you're not moving and you're not getting sunlight, you're not going to sleep.
That's right.
And it's just, and when I'm not having intimacy with my husband regularly, like all those things lead to that vitality. And so it's like a little bank account that you have to make deposits from different kinds of,
makes sense.
It's when people talk about, I want multiple streams of passive income. I'm like, that doesn't exist. Really. I mean, you have to work every stream.
You got to work to get it to that.
Yeah. But it's the same with health. There are no passive streams of vitality. And
there's no, and it like, just like with business, with anything, you take a shortcut, there's a rebound effect. So the shortcut, unfortunately, you starve yourself, you do the quick, like all that's going to rebound. Eventually, you're going to have to learn it's going to be a lot harder. So why not learn it early on and do it the right way?
Did you see that study that just came out on, it was all over the internet because everyone's like, see, the weight comes back when you stop the GLP-1. Well, like, no shit, Sherlock. I did a whole podcast about it. We'll put it in the show notes. But what they found was when they looked at the older generations of GLP-1s and the newer generations, like semaglutide and tirzepatide, the newer generations of GLP-1s actually had faster and more significant weight rebound.
Wow.
So the older ones...
So like there were Truritide or whatever those other ones?
They didn't look at retatrutide yet, but they were just comparing like liraglutide and exenatide, which are a slower weight loss process. They're not as powerful at weight loss, but the rebound from them was slower and less excessive. Meaning the quicker fix is more detrimental on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So... there's no, get out of jail free card here.
So if you are in that camp, unfortunately, that a lot of Gen X especially is in, where you're realizing like, wait a minute, I need to, I would say my advice would be don't stay in the shame around it, but start, what are you going to do about it right now?
Yes.
So like, what can you learn and start adding to stuff right now? Like, it is time to learn about nutrition finally. It is time to, great, if you're taking that and now your cravings have stopped, okay, great. Use that to learn nutrition then.
It's like a window.
Use it as a tool then.
Yeah.
You have your energy back, great, go work out. Like it's use that as your window. Otherwise, because you can avoid that if you do those things.
Right. It's a window. That's why I wanted to bring you on, was because people they think, oh, I heard Dr. Tina say that GLP-1s were safe. And I'm like, I never said that they were safe at standard doses. I said the hype has been overhyped of the big scaries, but we need to talk about dosing, right? Like that's a different conversation. But I think a lot of people kind of took it as, I call it the ultimate fuck around and find out peptide.
Okay.
Because you really can get away with a lot and it does significantly decrease inflammation. And so you can drink wine again and you can eat gluten again and you can do all these things that your body was not handling at all before.
Right.
And I've heard so many people say that, which is awesome for a second until you find out.
Right.
And it comes back, right? And the peptide quits working so well at that dose. And then you try to crank it up and then potentially you get some SIBO on board. I've seen this on repeat with people.
Scary.
So there's no quick fix here. And what Natalie and I have been talking about, and the whole point of this podcast is you have to do the work too.
Yeah, you have to do it too.
So
It's not a cheat. It's not a cheat. If you have to use something let me put it this way. Let's say when I had my surgery and I was in massive pain and I was like, couldn't get painkillers. That's a whole other thing. And I needed them
I was fired up.
It was the same thing though. It was like I wanted a painkiller not to be on painkillers the rest of my life. I wanted a painkiller to be out of pain right then so I could function. So everything is like, whether if you're taking an Advil for a headache, anything you're using external to help with something, use it to actually help with the thing.
Yes.
Don't use it as now this replaces.
Yes.
That's the way I would describe it, I guess.
Yes. And I'm so glad you brought up Advil, because I was just talking to Ryan about my husband about this. If I have to take I despise taking it, but it's so miraculous for me. If I have to take ibuprofen more than 2 or 3 days in a row, I have to take a hard look at my life.
Wow.
Like, what is going on? If I have to lean on something hard that is pharmacologic, I have to look, even if it's herbal, I have to look at, like, what am I eating? What's my stress level been like? How active have I been? Have I been too active? Have I been pushing it too hard? Like, where's my sleep? Have I had any community or fun? Like, have I had any joy in my life? I mean, you have to stop. You can't lean on that stuff forever.
No.
Something's off.
Yeah. And people are, and again, no shame around it. Just start making different decisions right now. You don't even have to cut it cold turkey, but how can you use it as a tool to start doing something else for that? Because heck, cocaine worked for weight loss too, but like that wasn't a good plan for me. Like, I'm just saying you could, there's all kinds of things. People were using ADHD meds for weight loss. There's been we've seen every iteration of something for weight loss.
What was the drugstore medication Dexedrine?
Yeah, that's right. Dexatrim. Remember that? And then I remember in my 20s, you would take ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin together. Remember that? So I say people are going to abuse things, but what I'm saying is you have to, that's why get clear with your vision, what you want long-term, because this one is going to rapidly mess things up more than all the other stuff too.
Right. And this age group.
Yes.
Is going to be a lot harder to rein it back in.
That's right.
If at all.
That's right.
Like, if at all. If a 45-year-old woman comes through the door and she's got a litany of issues, I'm pretty certain I can right the ship. If a 55-year-old woman comes in with that same list of issues, it's a heck of a lot harder. So this is not the time to be fucking around and finding out.
So vision, learn your food, move your body, lift some weights.
Yeah.
Main things.
Yeah. And have good community.
And
good friends.
And sun.
I love it. Okay. So you're all over the internet. So tell everybody where to find you. And then you have an awesome program.
Yeah. My podcast is Midlife Conversations. Tina's been on many times. I'm Natalie Jill Fit on social media and online. And yeah, if you really do want to learn fat loss the right way, that's simple, easy, and fun, but also sustainable, long-term, with a GLP or without a GLP, like this method crushes. I don't have it open in like a live launch right now, but I did open it up for Dr. Tina's people at a discount. So if you go to totalbodythrive.com, you'll see it at the full price. But if you use code Dr. Tina, you get a pretty aggressive discount on that.
Awesome.
You can go through that.
Awesome. I need to go through it. You're going to help me. Natalie's going to take me out and make me be more social.
We're going to go start walking.
We're going to start walking.
That was part of the deal of you moving here. I said, we need to walk.
I know, we need to hike.
My favorite thing to do is hike and walk. So.
Okay, we'll do it.
Especially with the talking we do, it's perfect.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you came on.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so much for
me.
being here. There are people who don't tolerate standard dosing of hormones. That doesn't mean it's not for you. And it doesn't mean that you can't handle estrogen or that you don't need estrogen. It's starting to lead to depression. That is estrogen leaving the building. And I highly encourage you to seek out help from somebody who knows what they're doing. I will tell you that estrogen leaving the body causes the hair shaft itself to become thinner. So the diameter shrinks.